Alright, the group stage for PGL Bucharest has come and went. We are ready for the playoffs starting exactly tomorrow. There is no break in the action. So today, we're going to take a step back, talk about the 8 teams who made it out of the group stage, and what you need to look forward to in the coming action this weekend. We'll also take some time at the end of the video to talk about my predictions for the playoff bracket, as well as a note on some of the teams who failed to make it out. If you guys like this kind of recap content, make sure you show me that by hitting the like button, leaving a comment down below, and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, especially because we're almost at 5,000 subscribers. You guys have been doing amazing on that front as I really started to push to reach 10K by the end of the year, so help me break 5K during this tournament by hitting that button. Without any further ado, before we get started, I would like to thank today's sponsor. That's right, this video is sponsored by Skin Club. They are one of the most popular case opening sites in the scene with over 100 custom cases backed by their provably fair system. You can open cases individually or wager your winnings against other users in case battles, either with players around the world or privately with bots if you want to avoid being smurfed outside of Premiere as well. But wait, there's more. Skin Club runs monthly events with free rewards to earn, free daily cases, and if you don't like what you earned, you can always go for a cheeky little upgrade to get something you do. If you want to play on Skin Club, you can do so at the top link in the description down below and get a 7% deposit bonus when you top off your account with credit card, crypto, or the 5,000 Peach 50 sand dunes in your inventory. Please gamble responsibly and only do so if you are over 18 and live in a country or jurisdiction that doesn't restrict gambling. Gambling can be an addiction, and you should never gamble for the purposes of making profit, only wager what you are comfortable losing. If you or a loved one are suffering from gambling addiction in the US or Canada, you can reach out to 1-800-GAMBLER toll-free to get help. I want you to be safe and healthy always, so seek help if you need it. And thank you to Skin Club for sponsoring this video. Alright, so our 8 teams who will be competing this weekend are G2, 3D Max, Complexity, GamerLegion, Aurora, formerly Eternal Fire, Faze Clan, Virtus Pro, and lastly, the Falcons. Right off the rip, I know we were going to save this for the end of the video, but the MONGOLZ not making it out of this field is a gigantic what the fuck. The entire theme for Bucharest, if you haven't been following very closely, is that upsets have just been everywhere. All of the teams that we thought were going to do well had slip up somewhere. G2 is a dead roster, they go out 3-0. Complexity became the best team in the world only at this tournament. Like, it's just been very wacky in terms of results, but my god, was this a massive fuck up for the MONGOLZ, because this is probably, even more so than Cluj, the most winnable tournament they've gone to all year. Falcons are waiting for MONGOLZ, G2 are a dead lineup, Faze are in La La Land, Astralis fucking suck. Like, this was the most, you just need to beat Eternal Fire and win a trophy-ass tournament that the MONGOLZ will get for all time. I'll definitely be saving more thoughts about the MONGOLZ in their own dedicated video after the tournament is done. Same thing with Team Liquid, more on them at the end of the video. But just on the face of it, blowing their game against Falcons this morning was just unreal bad. And I don't know. Every single tournament, it gets harder and harder for me to rate the MONGOLZ because they keep just like whiplashing me with whether I should be thinking more highly of them or lower of them. Are they consistent, inconsistent? I don't know what the fuck is going on, but the fact they're not in the playoffs is just unbelievably bad. Anyways, let's focus on the teams who did make it. Let's start off with our first 3-0 team. Inshallah, the great G2 era, even though it's over, has risen again. And honestly, I'm gonna break with tradition here. Because we know that G2 are a dead lineup, I'm not going to focus on how much I hate Snacks and everything he does and the way he talks and the way he walks and the way he dresses. I hate everything about that man. However, because this lineup isn't going to be here anymore, I'm just not going to focus too much on it. We're just going to we're going to take the copium pill here and just take the results on face value and just talk about the fact that G2 played well. They 2-0'd GamerLegion, that's a legit win. They beat Rare Atom, who cares? And then in their advancement game, they beat Complexity 2-1. Complexity, like I said at the top, they're playing insane at this event. They were steamrolling much better teams than anyone thought they had any business beating. And frankly, they could have beat G2 here, but G2 gutted it out, had a close overtime victory on the first map, Dust 2, where both teams traded 10-2 halves. They then got beat on Anubis straight up. Complexity were playing insane in that game. Grim was having a fucking insane map. And on Ancient, G2 just gutted out a really great win. Hunter and Malves both played well. Like, fair enough, man. MONGOLZ is on the way out the door. He's playing out of his mind still. And it's just like, I'm just not going to care anymore. Like, it's over. It's done. We know G2 are raps. there's just no point in focusing on issues anymore because they just don't matter. And I feel like in a lot of ways, that has been freeing for this team. This is the most relaxed I've seen them play, and I think it's because there's no longer any weight of expectation. There's nothing to worry about. You know that you don't have to worry about showing up at the major with this roster, so they're just playing like themselves. They're playing a little bit more comfortable, and then they're just relying on their individuals, the same thing they've always done. So fair enough. G2, they go into the playoffs. They can absolutely win this tournament with the teams left in the bracket. That's totally possible if MONGOLZ keeps playing this good. And it would just be the most G2 outcome possible if G2 won the tournament when this roster was already 100% going to be dead. That would just be maximum G2, the most G2 that has ever G2'd. Our next team to make it out 3-0 were 3D Max. I really don't think this should surprise anybody. 3D Max have just been so consistent throughout the year, and this was just more of the same from them. They beat really good opponents on their way out. They beat the MONGOLZ, they beat Astralis, yeah, okay, listen, not that great, and then they beat Eternal Fire, now Aurora Fire. So that's 2 top 5 teams, and then a team that's like close to top 10 in Astralis. That's insane. Like, for this tournament's quality of competition, they beat the 2 best teams on their way out. Like, that's just legit as hell. And again, this has to be said every time when we talk about 3D Max. They're doing it without players who are dominating the tournament statistically. Their highest rated player is Gravity, and he is the 16th best player at the event so far. So they're not even door knocking a top 10 player at this event, but their team is around the 5th best team. They're just insanely consistent. Their T-side depth is some of the very best in the world, regardless of their player skill. And they're just gutting out tough win after tough win. Every game they played to go 3-0 went all 3 maps, so they had to persevere through a lot of tough Counter-Strike. I just like this team. I think they just played genuinely entertaining Counter-Strike. What's interesting is I'm once again noticing a pretty consistent pattern with 3D Max. I've talked about this in previous recaps, but when 3D Max are winning, it's because Gravity and Exercise are really showing great form. When those players play bad, 3D Max just don't have a lot to fall back on, which is interesting because I feel like when they really started to turn heads beginning of this year, a lot of the focus was on Maka because he was really like bucking the trend as like an op IGL hybrid who was putting up good stats. But while Maka is still fantastic, he has some great carry performances during this run, it is those 2 that are shoring up the firepower issues. So as long as Gravity and Exercise can maintain this form, then yeah, I think 3D Max are a threat to beat any team left in this field. You just have to respect their T-side playbook. And yes, if you're curious and you don't want to wait till the end for the prediction section, I am shitting myself that they have to play Faze in the opening quarterfinal tomorrow. Yes, I am not looking forward to that being a game the Faze inevitably loses. For those of you who understand what I'm doing here, this is a good old classic reverse caster's curse. Ooh. Anyways, not like any of that matters because we need to talk about our next team to qualify going 3-1. The eventual winners of this tournament, and I swear on that, it's Complexity. This is the rise of the great NA hope we need going into Austin. I'm 100% being serious. There is no copium in sight. This is a serious take, not delusional. Complexity will usher in the great NA era. I am saying it now. On a serious note, I covered a lot of this in yesterday's video about Faze getting dumpstered by Complexity. No one saw this coming. Complexity have struggled to get LAN wins in international tournaments the entire year, and out of nowhere, just everything clicks. Halzerk's playing crazy good. Grim is playing the best LAN internationally of his career, I'm pretty sure. Asterisk, someone correct me in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. He's averaging like a 1.22 rating. He's like the 4th or 5th best player in the tournament. He's playing out of his gourd. The only thing I can attribute it to is that with Legion Complexity, there were too many bald people. You can only have one bald player in your team, and unfortunately, Legion's baldness was just so prolific, so bright, blindingly light in how it's shown off his dome, that it just blinded Grim. So with Legion gone, he can be the dome of truth in Complexity, and now he can step up and take over. But that aside, it's the other players in Complexity who are playing great. JT as an individual as well as a caller, playing fantastic. Happy birthday to JT, by the way. I believe it was yesterday during the Faze series. And then the 2 new players, Six and Nixie. God damn it. Okay, I'm an idiot. I keep swapping their names. It's Sixy and Nix, not the other way around. Anyways, I didn't know what to think of these players. They're just like tier 2 NA players who are brought up because Complexity needed to fill out the roster. I did not have any expectations for them whatsoever. And earlier in the year, they didn't look like they could hang. but that's just done a sea change. 6C himself is like one of the top 7 players at the event with a 1.17 rating, and I don't know, dude. When you watch him play, he passes the eye test like a motherfucker at this event. He's making correct choices, his analysis of the game state in the mid-round, he's making all the right reads, and then his aim is killer. And yes, it deserves the caveat that it's just at this event, we don't know if this trend is going to maintain, but at Bucharest, 6C is playing like an insanely high-tier rifler. I hope it does maintain, because it'd be nice to see an NA player break out like that. We haven't had that in a while. In terms of the teams they beat, legit as hell. They dusted off Falcons 2-0, okay, fair enough. They took care of Furia, lol. They stomped them in the back 2 games after losing the opener on Dust 2. They then lost to G2, but that was a highly winnable series, as we talked about earlier. And then they destroyed Faze. You know, just kicked them in the dick over and over, and me specifically, because Faze fans can't have any joy anymore. Like, I'm not even joking here. With Faze being inconsistent, G2 being G2, and then the fact that Eternal Fire are doomed to choke playoff games, Complexity have a real shot of making the finals. Like, they are legit one of the best teams at this event. Don't sleep on Complexity. Our 4th team making it through were GamerLegion, and yeah, just another notch on the chain for GamerLegion of solid results and making it out of really good group stages, right? In terms of their individual players, you have PR and Rez, both solidly as one of the better duos in this tournament, both well above 1.10 ratings for the event. That's great stuff. ZTR continues to call very well, Slenda's a serviceable opper, Towson's a good support player, Ash is one of the best coaches in the world. GamerLegion have a little bit of everything you'd want to see from a team that could go deep in a bracket situation. In their run out of the groups, they lost to G2 in the opener, no big deal, G2 were on a heater. They beat Falcons, that's fine, good result. They beat Legacy, who no one really had much hope in, let's just be honest. Then they beat Virtus.pro, another team that I think are very much in their tier in terms of just where they sit on the hierarchy of the top 10, top 15, but still solid result because Virtus.pro have been on an upward trend recently. I think it would be very fair to say that GamerLegion and 3D Max are almost identical teams in terms of their viability in a playoff setting like this. I would not be surprised if someone told me, hey, 3D Max went deep in this playoffs. Same thing with GamerLegion. However, I do feel like I have more faith in 3D than I do GamerLegion, and I find that kind of hard to articulate. And this is something I've been talking about recently a lot with other people behind the scenes, is that there's definitely a weird quirk to kind of the art form of punditry, where sometimes it's hard to back up an opinion with numbers, and you have to go off vibes. And vibes are like the worst thing to base a take off of because they're so open to interpretation. Right on paper and by stats, GamerLegion has the better set of star players than 3D Max. I would even argue they have the better in-game leader comparing ZTR to Maka, and they certainly have the better coach. But when I watch the two play, I get the impression that 3D has more of a chance to win a cutthroat playoff series than GamerLegion, but it's hard for me to articulate why. Mind you, the gap is not large. In fact, when you look at both of their opening quarterfinals, I actually think GamerLegion has the easier matchup into Falcons than 3D Max does into Faze. But again, if they were to like face each other in the semis, which is definitely possible, I think 3D Max would probably win. And I find it hard to back that up with anything other than the fact that I've watched both these teams play throughout this year, and I just have the impression that 3D Max would win that more often than not. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm just kind of rambling a bit. Let's move on to the next team. Alright guys, I'm just going to be lazy with this one. Aurora is the next team through. I don't really want to go through and record all the separate demo POVs. I'm just going to reuse the rounds from their 3D Max series and just yap for like 2 minutes and move on, alright? Because we all know what to expect from Aurora. Unlike the MONGOLZ, they didn't choke in the group stage. Eternal Fire, Aurora, God, I'm just going to keep going back and forth. Please bear with me. Obviously, they're like the best team in this field, right? By skill and by results this year. Top 5 team. They should be in the playoffs every time. They beat Pain 2-1. Pain are betting in a new player. Fair enough. Good win. They beat Legacy. No one cares. They lost to 3D Max. 3D Max are playing great. No big deal. And then they smurfed on Apogee. Apogee were a cool standout team. More on them later. But were they going to beat Eternal Fire? Like, probably fucking not. Anyways, everything's looking good for Eternal Fire. The question is, can they do in the playoffs? That's all we're at. We know what they are in the group stage. We know they're going to be good. Joda, Wakadi, Zontaris, yeah, great core players. Can you guys win a fucking playoff series for once? Please? I'm going to continue to be the lazy recap guy here. I did an entire video yesterday talking about my frustrations with Faze at this event. More in-depth thoughts there. Let's just condense it down here and move on. Faze, they lost to Astralis. Life is suffering. They beat Pain. Good. They beat Veradum. Expected. They lost to Complexity, got stomped, I hate my life. They then beat Apogee, something, conflict of interest, mom I got on Reddit. Anyways, what are FaZe gonna do in the playoffs? I have no idea. They have an opening match against 30 Max that I am terrified about. It's FaZe. This could just be the classic FaZe, nearly flunk out of a group stage, then miracle playoff run to win a tournament. They've done it so many times. I hate that they keep doing it because it hurts my brain, but yeah, definitely possible. I just don't know. I am beyond words at making predictions for FaZe. I get burned on it every time. They're either going to win every match 2-0 or disappoint me. I don't know. I just want to see FaZe succeed, right? I just want to see FaZe be good. And to that one guy in my comments who keeps trying to make it out that Kerrigan is as bad as Snacks, fuck you. All right, let's change gears. I want to talk about Counter-Strike that actually gives me some hope in the world. And I can't believe that I keep saying this about Virtus Pro, but god damn it, I like watching this team. And I hate to admit that because my anti-electronic agenda has to die for that to be true. But man, they're just like a scrappy, fun team. Is electronic like a world beater IGL? Hell no. But they just have so much firepower to work with that I just kind of have to believe in them. At least to the extent that it's just fun to watch. Again, on the first day of Bucharest, everything was really wacky. Every upset possible happened. So Virtus Pro started off the event by losing to Rare Atom 2-0. Yep, I'm just going to write that one off to the Counter-Strike gods demanded a little bit of funny, and we're going to move on. They 2-0'd Liquid. New Liquid, still a great result considering the personnel. Fair enough. They 2-0'd Furia. I mean, does anyone care about Furia anymore? They lost to GamerLegion. Fair play. GamerLegion, good team. Also in the playoffs. They then destroyed Astralis in their qualifying game. Thank God everything is right in the world. Astralis missed another playoffs. Praise be. May Electronic lead Virtus Pro for 50 million years. Fuck you, Cadian. The real concern for Virtus Pro going into the playoffs is going to be Flammus. He is just not having a good event. He's below 1.0 rating. He's worse rated than Electronic over their series, which is a big problem because he is the young, dynamic gun. He is their main entry on the T sides. His aggression is pivotal for Virtus Pro to succeed, and when he doesn't play well, it puts a lot more pressure on Fame, Flit, and especially Icy, and I don't know if you want to rely on those three in a must-win playoff game. And when you consider the fact they have to play G2 in the opening round of the quarterfinals, I think that's a recipe to say that unless something really goes wrong for G2, which is always possible, I don't know if Virtus will have much of a shot. Now, if they can get past G2, the bracket gets a lot more interesting because they have Aurora and Complexity either or in the semifinals, and yeah, those games are certainly winnable. I think if it's Eternal Fire, I would say Virtus Pro are done. Complexity would definitely be a toss-up. But overall, I mean, they made the playoffs. Like, that's good enough for Virtus Pro. They've struggled a lot in bigger lands when some of the other top teams are here, but they played good enough to get through to the playoffs. Like, I mean, that's good. It's really going to help them in terms of, like, their major chances. It's going to help them out in the VRS standings quite a lot. This is a great set of results for VP. And our last team to qualify are the Falcons, which is definitely surprising. Much like G2, we definitely have, like, the dead lineup has Miracle Last Run phenomena in play here, but there's definitely more to consider compared to G2, because G2 just crushed their opposition. Falcons played like Falcons. They exhibited all of their flaws we've seen with this lineup throughout their tenure this year, and then it came down to a must-win series that happened today against the MONGOLZ. And just to give you an idea of what that was like for me, I woke up in the morning really early, I took a look at the game, I saw the MONGOLZ were winning on Mirage, I went back to bed, and thought, okay, fair enough. The MONGOLZ, they steered out of disaster from 0-2 into the playoffs. No big deal. And then Dexter just decided to become the destroyer of worlds for 2 maps, put the team on his back, and carry them to victory. I mean, Dexter is the epitome of a coin flip, much like Brokey, and the coin flip was in his direction today. He finished this best of 3 with 66 kills, 39 deaths, a plus-minus of 27, 92 ADR, and a 1.4 fucking 6 rating. Holy shit. On that last map on Ancient, he went 30-18 and went bar for bar with Senzu, who was also on his own 30 bomb. Like, holy shit. If Dexter is 2% less himself, they lose because Nico was just having an okay game. He went 19 and 18 himself. Tessas also was doing pretty good. But outside of that, Dexter was absolutely the reason they won some of the most important rounds down the stretch of this game. And he got them into the playoffs. That's insanely respectable. However, it's the Falcons. We know what their issues are. We know how touch and go they can be. And most of all, they are a lineup that we know is going to break up. How much motivation are they going to have to compete at the highest level in a playoff environment? That goes both ways. They could ride that playoff buff and make a run. Always possible. I think GamerLegion are a more coordinated team who have beat them in the past, and I would bet GamerLegion are going to do it. But really it's more of a massive indictment on MONGOLZ that Falcons made it, but we have to just kind of call it what it is. Falcons, they played well in the context of their environment. They went 0-2 in the beginning of the tournament after losing to Complexity and GamerLegion, and then they beat Pain. Fair enough. Pain with a new player. They beat Rare Atom, who are bad, and then they beat MONGOLZ, who were the best team at this event. But they didn't play like it. They were the best team coming in, I should say. So fair enough. Falcons, you're in. Congrats. We've talked about it a few times now. Let's talk about some of the teams who didn't make it. The MONGOLZ, you fucked up. This is one of your worst tournaments all year. It's a field with none of the teams you've been struggling against in the playoffs. You should have been in the grand finals every damn time. Much like Faze back at Cluj, you guys were the defined 100% favorites in this field. You went 0-2 early, and it's just unacceptable, alright? You lose that opening set against 3D Max. That is fair. That can happen. 3D Max are by no means a bad team. But losing to Apogee? Apogee? Now granted, you lost to Apogee off the back of the fact that this kid Jacob just for 2 days slammed his nuts on the table and said fucking witness me, but at the same time, you should never, ever be losing to this team. And they were close games, you guys didn't even get blown out. But man, Senzu went missing on that first map on Ancient, fucking story of my life, and then you guys just got beat straight up on Nuke. It's just like, it's an unforgivable loss. The fact that you battled back from that, you beat Liquid, new lineup, fair enough. You beat Furia, who cares? And you should have beaten Falcons. Like, they should be in the fucking playoffs, at least. And it's unbelievable they didn't. And then I had this video that I was working on, but I didn't finish it in time, got distracted by other things. I was going to talk about Liquid throughout the first couple of days as like a reaction to the new lineup. It just didn't work time-wise. I'm going to be making a video after Bucharest talking about what we saw here, but I think people, understandably, because Reddit's going to Reddit, overreacted. They did not have time to boot camp. They only had like at most a week to work with Shuhei coming into this. It's just expected that Liquid were not going to perform well. I wish we could have saw them, win a map or two, but them just getting blown out in this event was probably the most expected outcome. The biggest thing I'm worried about is Naf. Naf for the last 3 months is playing close to like a 0.8 rating, and he is one of the pillars of this team. His anchoring and lurking is so necessary for Twist to come back into the star form and be his aggressive self. If Naf can't turn it around, there's going to be some very, very uncomfortable questions, because let's just kind of call it what it is. I don't think JKS is a better player than Naf, but he played closer to a 1.0 rating these last 3 months than Naf did. And that's just scary to think about, because I want Naf on this team more than JKS. Alright, we're almost done, boys. Stick with me. Let's take a look at the playoff bracket and make some rapid fire predictions. Quarterfinals tomorrow, we have GamerLegion versus Falcons. I'm taking GamerLegion in 3 games. Then we have 3D Max versus Faze. I'm going to take Faze in 3 games, but I know they're going to disappoint me somehow. But I want to believe in playoff Faze. I think they'll beat 3D Max. They should beat 3D Max, but Faze. Complexity versus Aurora. This one I think will be the best game of the day if I had to project. And if Complexity play how they did in the group stage, they can absolutely win this. But let's just call a spade a spade. Eternal Fire have a very easy bracket to the finals. G2 and Virtus.pro are super beatable. Complexity, we don't know if they're a flash in the pan. If this is not Aurora's time, I keep doing the names, I'm sorry. If this is not their time to make a tier 1 grand final, then I don't know what is. And lastly, G2 versus Virtus.pro is going to be an absolute sloppy mess. Just a total mess. Just very incoherent Counter-Strike. Because there is no God, we killed him, G2 are probably going to win. I'd like to see Virtus.pro win. Anyways, that's going to be all for today. Make sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to help me reach 5,000 subscribers because we're so close, 10K by the end of the year. Thank you to Skin Co for sponsoring this video. If you see the top link in the description and you decide to play on their website, you get 7% deposit bonus next time you fill up, and make sure you gamble safely and responsibly. Thank you to our channel members, Justin, Jesse, Furley, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Dr. Cocktor, Patatas Kaftesi, PTR, B1, Cody Foxworthy, Justin Vandervate, I'm Flashbang, Snowy White, Rowdy, Vergil'sPlasticChair, and SidPro12. If you want to become a channel member, you can just go to the link in the description down below for $5. Make you support me directly and get you anything in the video just like this, as well as a custom role in our community Discord. Thank you to our channel members. And then lastly, follow me on Twitch, JesseTiv/LionHeartZ. I'm streaming Elden Ring and Counter-Strike intermittently. Come hang out, follow me, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys tomorrow with more recaps. Bye.